Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillahirrahmanirrahim. Wabnastain awal muridun yu'in. Wassalatu wassalamu ala muslim. Wala alihi wasbihi ajmain amin ba'd. In this occasion, I would like to refer knowledge about NAT. NAT is the network address translation it used in the local network. We see my note here. Not introduction. Not network address translation is a way to manage private and public IP address, private IP and public IP, where the main function of this NAT is to change the private IP on the LAN or in our local network also public IP so that the LAN can access the internet or the server can communicate with the IP public that would translate it. That works on router and firewall device, which must have a public IP, and private IP device must have a public IP and a private IP. Later, if the private IP wants to go to the internet, the router will change the private IP to the public IP that he has. On Cisco routers, there are two NATs. NAT, the function is translate the local address to the public address in the router. The process will the NAT process will be run in the router or local router. On Cisco routers, there are two kinds of NAT. Static NAT. Static NAT is a NAT that is configured manually by the way we determine which private IP we want to turn it into a public IP that the has. router has. However, the disadvantage of satellite is that we can only use one public IP for one client. If you have three clients, you must use three IP public for your three clients. So the one IP public cannot use for the all client. So public IP for one, private IP only. The dynamic NAT, the second. Dynamic NAT is NAT where the translation process is done automatically by the router. By the router, we only need to list the public IP that the router has to be used by the private IP. Used by the private IP. And in dynamic NAT, we can use one public for many private IP with the overall technique NAT interface. If you use the dynamic NAT, you just need one IP public for all clients, not interface. Inside interface that leads the local network, which contains the private IP address before being translated. Outside interface that leads to public. Out of here, private IP address will be translated to public IPs. Now we will continue to practice it in the Cisco processor. We open and make it the code because with the two routers here, use two clients and one server for our internet. And then forget to use switch because router is has two ports. We connect them. We connect it first. So in here I will take a note for making it easy to configure. Network 10.10.10.0 slash 24 is for the way that the router that we use, and 192.168.10.0 slash 24 for the client. For the server, we will use the 8.8.8.0 slash 24. Here, and Firstly, we must configure the local router with the command no enable first configuration now and we turn on the interface first with range at A0 until 1 no shutdown. We continue at A0/0 IP address 192.168.10 and 1 258 F when the 55.255.255.0 and then interface FA0/1 is for the router connect the first router to the second router interface IP and then IP address 10.10.10.1 255.255.255.0. We continue to the second router. We configure the IP address first and turn on the interface. No, enable config now. Interface array 0/0 answer 1. No shutdown interface FA0/0 is for the server IP address 8.8.8.1 255 is subnet 255.0 interface FA0/1 IP address is for the router 10.10.10.2 255.255.155.0 and we continue in the first router. We configured the IP address in the client first. 192.168.10.2 subnet already and the gateway 168.10.1 and the DNS server is the IP address that used in the server 8.8.2 which was the first and the second. Then we configure the IP address to 192.168.10.2 .3 and the default gateway 192.168.10.1. The DNS is same 8.8.8.2. Those we configure the IP address on the server 8.8.8.2. The subject is 455.155.155.0. The default gateway 8.8.8.1 and the DNS server we write same as the IP address. Already, we continue to configure NAT in the local router. In the command, we exit first IP NAT inside. We will transfer the client address into a public address. Command IP NAT inside source static. We will use static. We want to transfer the first client which has IP address 192.168.10.2. We transfer it in this command 192.168.10.2. We'll translate it into 30.30.30 and 0.30. Turn we root in with the static root but with the default root method IP root 0.0.0.0 and the subnet also 0.0.0 and we use the next hop that router to use to connect the router 2 to the router 1 is the show IP interface. We use this for the next hop 10.10.10.2 and then we can insert the face here As we see in here, inside the first leads the local network context the private IP address before being transferred. So we input it in the FA000 that leads to the local address with the command IP at inside and the outside we use the interface IP0/1 IP not outside. And then we continue in the second router we configure the IP route, don't forget, with static route using default route method. IP route 0/0.0.0.0 space 0.0.0.0 and use the next hop that the router one use to connect him to the router 2. Uh, if you want to see do show IP the flash wave. We use this for be the next copy for the next copy. 10.10.10.1. And then for wait, for and then so for mm, see that the NAT um already used, we will fast forward again and we try ping the IP public from the server. Ping 14.30.30.30. Sorry, the first will be time on first, or because the way he need to adaptation first. Uh, you can see in here there is already replay, retyping, replay 30 is the IP public of the first client. We will try ping 3.30.30. Yeah, this is already because his address is already transferred it to 30.30. As we can see in here, the NAT network identification is important for your local address or your enterprise because you don't need to use much of IP coverage just for your many client. You can use this not network address translation for translate the IP local into the IP public. But this one is still static NAT. So if you use static NAT, you use one IP public. Here you can see static NAT. You configure manual, but you use one IP public just for one IP private only. Is mean the mean is one IP public, there's one client. If you configure it with the static NAT, but if you configure with the dynamic NAT in here, you can use only one IP public, but you can translate it for your many clients. But remember, if you want to configure it, you configure in the local router, not in the internet, for sure. Uh, and then this network other translation is very um, useful for enterprise or your home office because like in the real life if you want to access internet You need IP public. You buy a quota. Quota is the IP public, and the quota just used for one IP private. But in your home, you can and like in the home is the IP public, and then you configure in your local router. You configure a dynamic map. You just run one IP public, but it can be used for many IP private in your home or many client in your home. So you didn't need to buy IP public uh, for each client. Yeah, maybe that's all for me. So I'm sorry if there are lots of mistakes. It was all to